Well, hey, good morning, everybody. It's Saturday morning. This is Scotty Roberts, and just testing my lighting. I'm sorry I can't show you how beautiful the morning light is because we're sitting here in the makeshift studio. And I just want to say good morning, Audrey. Good to see you. It's nice to see you in here. And let's get rolling. I just want to say a little word about last night. I'm sorry that we had to cancel the show at the last minute. I got kind of stuck with the owner of the company, and he took us all out to eat, and we couldn't get back here in time to do the show, and so we had some other people with us, and so I had to at the last minute just say sorry, can't make it in. No show Friday night. Sorry, that's a rare occasion that we have to do that. And of course, I'm not in my normal digs, as you all know. So it got a little nutty last night, worrying about getting back here. And finally, I just said I got to cancel the show. So here I am. Thank you, Audrey. And by the way, good morning. And you're the only one in the chat so far. It's early. It's what? It's 8 o'clock out east, and it's 5 o'clock where you are, Audrey. What are you doing up so early on a Saturday morning? And it's good to have you in here, though. So I was just going to make this you're welcome to a lousy cup of coffee. And again, it's because of the makeshift studio and all, it's not glossy. We don't have the opening intro and music and graphics and all of that. But that'll come. I keep saying that, but there are things that, let me dim that light just a little bit. It was burning my eyes. So, we'll get that all going. And it's just informal today. Where's everyone at? I've been up since 3 a.m. What are you doing up so early? So, you just not sleeping very well, Audrey, or are you just up and awake? I got to take these off. I can't see the camera very well. Your big boss called you last night to work on a huge project, so here you are. So, wow, get called in and you got to get up at 3 a.m. That kind of sucks. But very informal this morning, maybe even less formal than Sunday mornings tend to be. I am still not set up to be able to bring Rainey into the show for Sunday mornings, but that'll come too. Some of it is just a timing and a money thing. And right now, I'm so busy out here with the work we're doing. So it's it's tapped all my extra time. And with my extra time out here, I'm supposed to be doing more writing, and I found that I don't have as much extra time as I was led to believe I might have. And so, not led to believe, that sounds like a big negative. I don't mean it that way. I was just told, you'll probably have time to work on your regular stuff, your art projects, your writing and stuff like that. But it really hasn't quite worked out that way yet. I think once we start normalizing, we've been out here. I've been gone from home now officially for a month. Today is the 27th, and I left, I believe, on the 27th of January. I left home and drove out to North Carolina. Got waylaid, of course, by the blizzard in Indiana and had to spend an extra night on the road, getting out to North Carolina to pick up my son, which is way out on the East Coast, Charlotte, North Carolina. And so then we got to Charlotte and I stayed there a night. And then my son the next morning was supposed to be there, and his car broke down driving from Asheville to Charlotte, where he was going to leave his car at my daughter's warehouse. And so that took most of the day to get him into Charlotte. It was a pain in the butt, but we had to have his car towed in. And so then we went from there down to Lake Charles, Louisiana. But on the way, as you remember, some of you, we had in somewhere in Georgia, small town Georgia. Not too small because it had a Walmart, so I'd say it was probably about the size of New Richmond, Wisconsin, where I live. And we swung in, we saw the Walmart sign. We said we got to pick up a couple of things on the way, and so we stopped there, and then had some. As we pulled off the freeway, we're hearing this clunk, clunk, clunking, clunking, while we're making a turn, and we find out the axle is shot. And so we had to find a shop in Commerce. That took us half a day to find somebody who could work on it right away. And so we had to stay an extra night in Commerce, Georgia, at the hotel while they worked on the car half of the next day. And then it took us several hours to get that all taken care of and back on the road. And then we made it here by something like 3:30 in the morning that next day. I think it was like Wednesday of that week. So we'd been here for about a month. That first 4 or 5 days settling in here, we didn't do a whole lot. Then we went out and we started doing our selling in the area for homes that are broken down still from the hurricanes down here. And what's funny is that hurricane hit hurricane. I think it was Laura and Delta, and I think it came Laura first and then Delta, or is it the other way around? But the hurricanes hit down here back in August and of last year, and it wreaked a lot of damage. Then the second one came through in just a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, and what didn't get taken out in the first got taken out in the second, and so that left still today. It's going to be February 1st in 2 days, day after tomorrow, and so from August to February, there's still tens of thousands of people down here who have not had their homes repaired, their roofs repaired, damage on the inside of their houses. Many of the houses, you drive down any street, and most of the houses still have blue tarping all over the roofs. And they've done that to prevent those houses from leaking. And so there's interior damage. So that's what we're doing down here. Work with a construction company. As a matter of fact, I had sitting here, maybe I've got one right here. What we really do, it's like being a door to door salesman, but a little different. We go door to door, we knock on doors where we see the tarps and see damage. You can drive by, you get to the point where you can drive by a house and see the roof has damage. And our company that we're with down here, that's Caleb Martin Construction. They're custom home builders. Hey, Steph, good morning. Holy hell, she says. And so I'm just talking a little bit about the job and the company down here. Very informal this morning, Steph. And anybody out there who might be listening that's not tuned into the chat. And so we basically go door to door down here and say, look, we're a custom home builder. We've been here for 22 years. And the guy's father doing the same thing before him. And so what we do is we say, look, we're not just chucking a truck, all these drive-by storm chasing companies that go and repair people's roofs and then disappear. A lot of people down here have been waiting. They've been on waiting lists since August, September, some of them in October, these waiting lists to get their houses repaired. And nobody's showing up to some people. You feel really bad for this. There are some older people that we've bumped into, a lot of older people, some younger people who put out money, down payments from their insurance payouts to these fly-by-night companies, and they never hear from them again. And they've lost half of their insurance money. And so we are out there trying to help people. And yes, it's to earn money for the company, for us, for my pocket. But at the same time, we're out there saying, look, we are here. We can get your repairs done now. We're a reputable company. You can go look us up. You can go see where. So that's what we do. This is the little door knocker that we leave on the doors. We have these door hangers, and that's the company, Caleb Martin Construction. And there's Sam and me, our pictures and our phone numbers, and and our emails, and we leave these on the door for people. And it tells who the family is that owns it and the company and so on and so forth. So we leave those on the doors, or we just use them as handouts. And, sometimes we just leave a business card. My son and I both have our cards that are pretty much the same thing. And the Caleb Martin logo on the back, which I designed, by the way, I must say, and Caleb Martin Construction. And so that's what we do. We go out and we're kind of the front man. We knock on the doors. We tell people, hey, you haven't had your work done yet. I can see you've still got the tarps up. And the basic answer you get right off the bat is, the initial brush off answer. that you get from people. It's like, oh, we've already got a contractor. And I asked them, I said, well, as your contractor, I see your tarps are still up, 7, 8 months after the fact. Not to steal anybody's business out from under them, but if you're not satisfied with the timing, if you're not getting work done, it's what we do. We've been here for 22 years as this company. I've only been with the company a month, but blah blah blah, and you do your sales job. Thank you, Audrey. They are nice looking. Yeah, we're starting to get jobs. My friend Pete, who owns his company that works under Caleb Martin, that's how that's structured. He started this company, and they've got lots of jobs. They've been down here since probably September, October, something like that, and have been building all the way along. And he said it's going to take you a few weeks just to get out there, get your feet wet. And so now Sam and I have been going out together and knocking. And sometimes he takes one side of the street, I take the other, and we do a lot of walking. And that's why I'm starting to getting a little sun, even though it's minus 27 degrees up north. Not quite that cold when I left a month ago, but it was down there. Now it's up in the 40s again, so all the snow's starting to melt back home. But so we walk around a lot, we knock on a lot of doors, we talk to a lot of people. And it's one of those things where a lot of the people here are worn out from it. People knocking on their doors, all these fly-by-night roofing companies that have been out there just fixing roofs. And they do an all right job, some of them on the roofs, but they leave all the fascia undone, all the soffits undone, all that. You say, look, and if you've got interior damage because your roof leaked, there's people with I walked into an old man's house yesterday. The guy's 84 years old. I saw tarps all over his roof. I walked into he said, come on in and take a look. And he said, we've been waiting for months. And so he showed me all around. Every ceiling in his house is gone on the interior from the roof leakage. He's got 3 rooms where the sheetrock is all broken out and molding. And he said he lives there. He says, but his wife, the insurance had to pay for her to go into a nursing home because it was no longer livable. But he still lives there and goes back and forth to visit his wife every day. And it just looks like his interior's under construction. That's what it looks like. It's all tarped up, and he'd like to get his work done. And so you look at a job like that, and a roof his size, average Rambler ranch style house, that roof's going to cost probably $16,000 to replace. Then he's got his shop out back, and then he's got all his interior stuff. He's got a good, damn, if it's not $80,000 to $90,000 worth of work that needs doing to fix his house up. And so our little company that works for Caleb, we take a cut of that, and then I take my cut of that, and that's how we make money. And so there's a lot of, and it's at least one house in every block of every city street that's in that condition, if not more than that. And if you are on my Facebook and you saw some of the pictures I posted, kind of looks like it's a disaster area. And now there's Texas right next door to us after the ice storms. Texas had more insurance claims made last week than they made all of 2020. So it's crazy down here. And I saw Helen Moody. I saw you come in. You said something, and I was talking. I didn't hit it right away. There you go. Blessings to y'all from a sunny day here. England looking beautiful, folks, from my new flat. Windows, namaste, beloved. So, Helene, it's nice to have you in here. Good to see you this morning. It's not so early for you. It's a little after 7 a.m. here, and over there it's got to be, what is it right now? I think you've got 6 hours on us right now. So you're looking at, roughly 1 p.m. in the afternoon, thereabouts. So, yeah, Steph, exactly, that poor guy. And he is like a lot of the other people down here. There's many people. Now, I went into Sam and I were knocking doors on little houses all through. There's one part of town here, and it kind of reminded me of, and this is not a bigoted, racist, white supremacist, white privileged kind of a statement, other than to say, have you seen pictures of, or you've seen movies about the characters are black and they're in the deep South in the 1910s and 20s and stuff like that, and you see the neighborhoods they lived in. They were totally segregated from the white neighborhoods. Now I don't know if there's not a real segregation anymore today. I think this is old segregation, but they're old neighborhoods. There are all these tiny houses that are, if you look at the outside, they're little square boxes, nice neighborhoods. Some of these places have really beautiful little homes all lined up. They're just tiny. It's all black community, it seems, for the predominant factor of people living there. And it almost gives you that feel. I said to my son Sam this morning, we were driving one of our partners to the airport early this morning, and we drove through those neighborhoods, that part of town to get there. And I said, it almost looks like those pictures of, they would be the descendants of former slaves in America who all grew up once they won their freedom. There was emancipation and they started their own neighborhoods and their own businesses. That's what these areas remind me of down here in the deep South. And there's no negative connotation I'm putting to that other than to say, I think that these neighborhoods have been predominantly black Americans living in these neighborhoods. It's just where they've lived. They've always lived. Their relatives lived there before them. Their grandparents lived there before them. Their great grandparents lived there before them. And that's what those neighborhoods are like. But you go through there and there is so much damage down there. And I've talked to many people. I saw a guy, young black man, well, young, maybe approaching middle age, working on his car out in the front, and it's all dirt driveways off the city street, and there's still a lot of trash and garbage and residue. Not residue is not the word I'm looking for. Rubble left from all these places that get cleared out or houses that get torn down because of the storms, and they're all piled up on the streets. And it's that way even in ritzy neighborhoods. So don't get me wrong. But it seems to me when we would drive through the neighborhoods where you've got everywhere from your $200,000 home to your $2 million homes that are just wild to look at. You drive through those neighborhoods and there's these pristine mansions and there's still piles of rubble on the street. Although the mansions themselves and the big houses, we saw all kinds of lawn service trucks out there. Everybody's getting their lawns in pristine shape now that the southern winter is passing. And so everything's immaculate and manicured. But you go into this other part of town and everything is, people have mown their lawns, but there's still a lot of brown grass. There's a lot of rubble. The rubble's everywhere. And yeah, you'll have to go look, Steph. It's about a week ago or more I put those pictures up. So you have to scroll way back in my posts on Facebook. But that's the way it is down here right now. And so what we're doing, it's not altruistic. We're not a foundation or anything like that. We're a business. We're looking to make money. But what we do is one of our catchphrases we almost use is, look, we work within the scope of your insurance and what the insurance approves. And many times people will get, they have their deductibles, and a lot of not so well off folks don't have low deductibles. They have pretty high deductibles because they don't anticipate losing their homes. And or they roll that die to say, hopefully, we'll never have damage to this home. And some of those houses are just gone. They're total. There's a lot of deserted homes. There's even big, beautiful, old, historic homes that are deserted. I'm going to add some pictures this morning when I'm done here on my Facebook. We were in a part of town that is considered an historic district. And there's a lot of these old mansions. They look like these old, what's the word? Old Dominion, kind of. The old South, the big white houses with the pillars and the upper porches going all the way around. Where you could see somebody sitting out with their mint julep on the front deck. But a lot of those houses have destroyed roofs and things like that. And we saw a house a couple of days ago, and the house, to look at it, I'll put a picture up of it this morning. It's a tall, narrow house, but the whole house is leaning this way, and it's kind of up, but there's people living in it, and it's on the historical register. It's a historic house. And a woman came out from the backyard as I was walking up to the yard to leave one of these hangers on the door, and may I help you? She said, you got this kind of accent, kind of like this, and um, she no, it wasn't off the foundation, Steph. It was just tilted, and she said that, and she came in just to describe her, you know, not elderly yet, like not in her 80s, but she looks like she's late 60s to early 70s. She said that, yeah, I've been in construction my life. I worked on those crews, and you could see, she had a tank top on, and to give a physical description, a little craggy in the face, and the pulled back, longer brown hair with streaks of white in it, and um, not she looks, a little like age has kind of rode her hard and put her up wet type of thing, and she's got the tank top on, no bra, so the big saggy boobs and the whatever she's wearing, and she had old tats on her arms that are, sagging and wrinkled, and you could tell that she was a tough chick one day, and so this was her physical appearance, and missing teeth on the bottom. And but she talking to me, and she says, "Yeah, the old man next door is blind. He's the one that owns a house, and we've been thinking about trying to get it, but it's a historic house, and so fixing that house is a major undertaking. And so she wants me to call back. She was going to go take care of the old blind guy who owns it next door and talk to him about it and give him our information. But so we'll call back on her and we'll see what he wants to do." Yes, Steph, it's just, sometimes you just have to say, I'm an artist and I'm a writer. And so I see things a certain way, and it's okay, I think, to, I try to give a great description so you get a picture in your head of what I see and what I experience out there. And none of it's meant to be anything but neutral descriptions, but, they can be comic. Some people could be offended by that. Some people could think that it's great, but that's what we mean. We meet a lot of older folks that kind of have that same look. Now it's very interesting. In contrast, while this was the old, rich, historic district with all these historic antebellum type mansions, but they're all in city streets. It's the old downtown area of Lake Charles, I think, and the old, where they would have, what comes to mind? The animated Disney movie Lady and the Tramp, where you go down, they were dirt roads, but the big mansions that were next door to each other, and they didn't have big yards anymore. But that's the way this district looks. And but so then you go from there, and you go way out to the outer limits of the town, so to speak. Go out into the suburbs, and you go out a little further, and you start hitting some of the big homes. And the other day, I took a picture of this house. I believe I may put that one up as well. Big, beautiful mansion in a residential neighborhood. And it had the old trees. And I don't know what these trees are, but I think they're white oak, if I'm not mistaken. They could be cypress trees, but they're the big, heavy trunks, but then they have the big, long arms, branches that come out, and they droop almost all the way to the ground and extend out 30 feet, from the tree. And those are all over, and they spread all over. And that gorgeous looking. And I walked up the front walk to that brick walkway up to the front door, and the elderly lady was pulling out with her car from the back, and she put down her window. She said, "May I help you?" And she had a much more refined kind of southern accent. It was kind of like that. I always say the mint julep accent. And but she had pure white hair. But in contrast, she probably wasn't much older than the other woman we had met. The old craggy woman. But she was very refined. She had on I saw it was like a white I would call it like a suit coat, but it's not. It has the Nehru collar on it. There's no collar or lapels, and it kind of comes together and it buttons up with the silver buttons, and she got the little ruffle that comes out the top of her shirt, and she had nice jewelry on, and she lowers the window. She, may I help you? And so I told her, what we're doing. She said, "Oh, yes, we still have some damage, but we do have the architect of the house has come out, and he's going to have it all repaired for us." And uh, and I said, "Well, we're just out in the neighborhood, and we're knocking on doors where we see you still have work." I told her we're with a company that's been here for 22 years. We're not fly by night, good reputation. The Martins out in Sulphur, Louisiana, and she said, and I said, we're just checking in with everybody to make sure you're getting your work done. If you're not satisfied with the timing, we're here to help you do that. Well, that is a very kind thing of you to be doing, and I will sure wish you the best of luck. And I'm like, why, thank you. And I said, you have a wonderful day. And yeah, kind of Libya Dukakis, Steel Magnolias came to mind. And so, not that I watched that movie, it's a chick flick, but I saw it once 20 years ago, whenever it came out. So, you know, Steel Magnolias. Oh yeah, my wife watched that, and I caught it too, bits and pieces. So, hmm. So all of that to say was just a description of what we're doing out here, the kinds of stuff we're working on. Helene said a colonial, Corinthians, Palladian, sacred geometry architecture. That's yeah. Doric, iconic. Yeah, very much so out here. And so you see my whole gist of all that description was you see both ends of the spectrum. Now you know it was very interesting. The rich lady, and I can call her that, the Southern Belle. They obviously had very much money and did not have to live near the cypress swamps because that's not where they built their mansion. And very nice and kind and sweet, though, in her own way. But then I was talking to the other woman, the first woman I described to you, in the old historic house in the inner city district. And, had worked on labor crews when she was younger. And she, um, what'd she say her name was? She come from the family, and she kind of talk like this, She kind of got land. She got some missing teeth, so she got the little in her voice because of those missing teeth. And she talking about, yeah, I'm from the LaRues. Have you ever heard of the LaRue family? And I said, I'm not so sure. And she said, well, I'm from the LaRues. I'm twice a LaRue. She said, because my great grandparents, they were first cousins, and they got married, and they were both LaRues, and so I'm a double LaRue. And she said, so people when I was younger, they used to call me Double Trouble. And I go, well, Double Trouble, and that's how I talked to her. The rest of the time, I said, well, Miss LaRue, I said, you take care, and I said, Double Trouble, we'll be calling back on you. And she said, well, you do that now, you do that now. And so it's kind of fun to watch. It's great observation, but at the same time, you see the contrast of what's going on here. You got the people who really don't have much. She doesn't own this leaning house, but she lives in it. She takes care of it, takes care of the old blind man who owns that house, who lives next door in his house, and it's right next door. I took a picture of this. Again, I'll put these up. Right next door to the leaning house, just 1 yard over, is one of these huge two-story white colonnaded antebellum mansions. It's like 100 years ago, these things were built next door to each other in that district, and so it's pretty cool. But see the contrast in people from the upper end to the lower end in income, in status, in wealth, so on, and they're all affected by this. But some you find in your bigger, greater neighborhoods, you're a triple threat, huh, Steph? Triple threat. But I wouldn't introduce myself that way. What makes you a triple threat? I'm curious. Do tell, Steph. Do tell. Share that with us. And so, um, all of that to say that. Oh! I know what I was saying. The richer neighborhoods, they're all insured. The other houses, the little houses, if you don't have insurance on your house and you still have a mortgage, the bank will force an insurance policy on you, but it's only bank insurance, and they'll only insure the person living there paying the mortgage the amount that's left on their unpaid mortgage. So many of those people can't, and some people, their houses are paid off. They've lived there for 40 years. Their houses are paid off. These little houses, they have no insurance on them. I ran into one woman, now she was middle aged. And she said, yeah, she said, our house is all paid off. She says, but we don't have insurance on it. But she needs her whole roof replaced. So they're tarped until they can afford out of their pocket to pay for a new roof. And that's what we're running into out here. So that's what I'm doing out here in more detail. And I get paid a percentage of the profit that we make off of fixing these houses. So let's say roughly, just to give you an idea. Well, my buddy told me when he told me to come down here, he works as a full-time IT guy working remotely for TCF Banks. He's got to sit here in this camper 8 hours a day, taking calls all day long, troubleshooting IT stuff for TCF Banks. And he gets out in the early evenings and he's hung hangers. It's been months since he's hung hangers, but he's got like 8 jobs going right now being built. And so when he said to come down, he said, come on down. You'll have time to do some of your own stuff in the evenings. He says, I sell one house a week, a roof or interiors. And he said, I'm taking down 10 grand a month, just that in my spare time. So he says, come down here and do this full time, you and your son. He says, you should be able to do that or better. So that's really the goal. The dream, I go home in June after being here for a few months, and I've got enough money in my bank account to build that container home we want to do. That's the dream end of it. The reality of it might be, we have plenty to get that started and put a sizable down payment with the bank and get going. And so it's possible to. That's the only reason I'm down here. I'm not down here because I like being away from my family. I hate being away from my wife. It chokes me up just to start talking about it. So I'm not going to get into that too deep, but I don't like being away from my wife and my kids. And you guys know me, I'm not a homebody. I've always loved adventure and exploration and doing things and travel. That's what I live for. But I don't like being away from my family. And in the earlier days, now it's been 5 years since I've been to Egypt. And I had gone 4 times before that. And I'd be gone a month at a time. I went every year from the time my little kids were born. And, I'd go there and it was exciting. And Rainey said, go, get the adventure out. But she was always stuck home with the kids. And stuck home puts a very negative spin on it. It was like the first trip I took to Egypt was to prep for writing our book, The Exodus Reality. And I went for a month with John and we traveled all over Egypt to these places. And so I was gone for a month. And I hated being away from the family, but it was an adventure and it was exciting. But the older I get and the more family I have, the more I have my kids, it's really hard to get out and say it's time for adventure and exploration and all that. I want to bring them with me. And so I know Rainey was going to come to Egypt with me in 2015. We wanted her to come along, 2014. And that's when she got pregnant with Ellery. And I put the kibosh on that plan. And so I don't like being down here. I don't like where I'm living. I don't like that. And I'm not pissing in the soup here or crying in my milk. I'm just telling you, it's because this is not where I live. This is not my place in the world. It's my place for now, but here I live. I'm living in a camper with two other adult males, my son and my friend who owns this company. And he's gone for a week now. He's bringing another guy down that's going to share this camper with us for a little bit. And we thought it was crammed with three guys. And so I don't like being here. I don't like, this is not my line of work. It's not what I do. It's what I'm doing right now. And the only reason I'm doing it is because the potential of earnings here is far greater than my potential of earnings in finishing my writing and doing my artwork and stuff. That's sometimes a real roller coaster. So I thought if I could come down here for 4 months, at least until, and it's open ended, but I've always been saying the end of May, the beginning of June, I want to be done here. But if in that 4 months I could make what he projected, the 10 grand a month, doing almost nothing, um, that gives you an idea of the kind of situation you could put yourself in very quickly. If I could do twice that, that'd be even better because I'm doing it more full time. Right now, Sam and I have about 8 or 9 jobs. None of them are signed yet. We've got like 8 or 9 jobs stacked up that we are bidding on and we're trying to close the deals on. That's over the first 3 weeks and knocking on doors. And it's like both my friend Pete and his partner who's down here over in his own camper over there. He said, you knock on these doors, he says, it's going to shift. The first part of your time here, you're going to feel like 80% just knocking on doors and 20% sales. He says, it's going to flip real quick. All of a sudden you got 80% jobs that you're building and you're collecting on and you're doing all this, and about it diminishes to hardly ever having to go knock on doors anymore. So that's really the goal. The goal is to go home at the end of this little stint. I am here not because I want to be away from my family. I'm here because I want to make something better for my family. And, you liken it to the old days, the journeyman. They'd have to leave home for 6 months out of the year, to make a living for their family. I don't like that. I don't like being away from my kids. The beautiful thing is that we've got this now. 50 years ago, 100 years ago, you didn't have this. You'd write letters back and forth, make an occasional expensive phone call. Now I can hop on the internet and I see my kids every day. I can talk to my kids on my phone every day. And I can talk to my wife every day on the phone. And so that's different. And so Rock and Rhonda, good to see you. I didn't say hi when I saw you. And glad you're here, Rhonda. And Leslie, she says, got my morning run done, grabbed my coffee, and look what I found. Good morning, Scotty. Good morning to you, Leslie. Nice to have you in here. And this was just because I wasn't able to do a show last night. I thought I'll hop on Saturday morning and come on in. For those of you coming in later, I was a little detained last night. I could not make it back here in time to start the show, so here I am. Thank you, Audrey. Yeah, you have to apply some of that. You have to put on, some charm when you talk to those people at their doors. I try to find some instant affinity with somebody. There's a woman who, older woman again, probably late 70s, stout, short, stout, thick. And she said, "Oh, I've had all you people come by here before." And she said, and I said, "Well, we're a little different." And I said, "Let me tell you who we are." And I told her who we were. And she said something to me on the phone when she called back and said, "Yeah, I'd like you to come out and tour the house and take a look at all the stuff I've got that needs repair." And from the storms, not to mention a roof and a deck, and all her fencing is gone, all blown away. Her pump house over her well house, I should say, and just it's all twisted and bent, and all the brambles on the edges of her yard. And so she mentioned something that was Star Trek reference without saying I'm a Star Trek fan. And she made some reference. I go, "I'll bet you're a Trekkie, aren't you?" And she said, "Why, yes, I am." And we started talking we talked on the phone for a good 45 minutes just about Star Trek. And she was telling me, I let her tell me all her stories about all the conventions she's been to and costumes she's made over the years and all the actors she's met at the conventions. And she says, next time you come over to tour the house and take a look at my damage, I'm going to show you my pictures. And I said, I would love to see them. And so we got to the house. Sam came with me, and we walked in, and she said, before we even get started, and she pulled out this, I swear, she looked like this. She's carrying this album that's about this thick, a big 3-ring album, and it's about this thick. And she goes, I got to show you my pictures and my photos. And she laid that down and she opens it up, and it's all her Star Trek conventions for the last 20 years that she's attended and costumes she made. She went as, if any of you, those of you like Audrey, you're familiar with Star Trek, Deep Space Nine. She went as the, what was the character? The High Priestess character from Bajor. There, you'll get that reference. And she dressed in that costume and won an award for it. And so we got to talking about Star Trek. And she showed me through her book collection and her movie collection, and she's got everything in her house and all these built-in bookshelves, all categorized and all the different topics, and so we got to talking about that. You know what? That little thing is the thing I think that sold her on using us more than me giving her the details of the company. And so there you go. Hey, Roger Rabbit. Yeah, it could be taken so many ways. I don't know what all you heard, Roger, but there it is. And um, and of course, we've got everything else in between when I meet all these people. We were talking initially about the contrasts in people I'm meeting down here. And yesterday or the day before, my son and I knocked on some doors, and there was a house that had all blue tarps over the roof. And so I pulled up there and I went and I knocked on the door to see what their situation was. And coming to the door was, I would call her, she was very southern, but at the same time, she's not like the made up model. It wasn't like a Kardashian coming to the door. It was like a model who's without makeup today, and but she had the refined eyebrows. Very well done, very nicely done, nice hair, brunette, but turquoise on the ends and braided in some spots, and she had on a a tank top like my wife wears, string tank top, braless. Obviously, you wear a bra with the bra straps stick out. No bra, but perfectly, might I say, perky, gorgeous boobs, and obviously, maybe not obviously, but probably augmented because they weren't oversized. They're just perfect, skinny little waist, and she's wearing black tights like she'd been working out. And they come to the door, and she's very nice and smiley. Hi, how are you? And so you meet all different kinds of people. And now Roger Rabbit, that's a story that you might look at. That's what made me think of saying that was you said, boy, that could be taken many different ways. Those are the stories. Aren't those the way porn movies start? It's like, hi, I'm here to examine your roof. Well, do come in. Pardon the fact that I'm half naked. And so you run into that a little bit. Now, I have not been propositioned. I'm too old for that. But I don't think I present myself as a young, fertile, virile, young buck stallion. So, but you see that kind of stuff, and you could see. I'm only bringing that up to see these are the contrasts that you see in people. Very normal family people, very exotic looking. I had one girl. There was a squad car parked outside this big house, big middle class house, and not because a cop was visiting there, but it looked like this was a cop's house because there were other cars around him. And I opened the door, and there had to be this. She was 18 if she was a day. Gorgeous blonde hair, long, very manicured hair, and makeup was perfect and in great shape. And she's wearing like a paisley robe, like a house robe with big white furry collar, but the thing was like open down to here, and you can tell she's not dressed. She's got a robe on. She goes, "Hi, may I help you?" and so you see it all. You see all of this stuff because of all these different contrasts of people that we're seeing, and so it just makes for interesting stories. There's nothing there. I'm not like, yeah, I wish she'd have invited me in. I'm in love with my wife. I don't think that way. But I'm a guy, so visually you pick that stuff up and you go, "Oh, that was an awfully pretty young woman." And I'm not a grandpa yet, so I can't say, "Oh, that's a pretty young thing," and you mean it innocently. I mean, I'm still a guy. I still have hormones, and you see that stuff, and you go, "Okay." I just have to put certain things out of my mind. But isn't that the way all of us guys have to work? You go to the office, you can go to work, you can go to the store, you can go anywhere. And the eye gate is a very visceral thing for men, especially. Probably for women too, but there it is. So Roger says she's doing all right, Audrey. Stable. I saw Leslie saying, "I'm so sorry to hear that." So I'm backtracking here. Roger, how's Kinsey? She's doing all right, stable, but the seizures are coming more than ever. We're nearing 200 in the last 8 to 10 days. Oh man, I'm sorry about that, Roger. Not only is that rough on Kinsey, that's got to be rough on you and your wife. It's just that's awful for you guys. I hope um, that you can find some resolution to these things. I don't know. I don't even know what to say about that stuff, Roger. So I hope you guys get some rest and can find some ways to help Kinsey out through these things. I don't know what's going on, what you're doing. I don't even know how to talk about it properly. So there it is. I hope you're doing all right this morning. Carly too. And Leslie says, Scotty, women may deny it, but they're the same way when it comes to a nice looking man. Well, that's nice. I used to have that. I don't. I can make myself purdy up for the camera for my radio show, but I'm a slumpy old guy, is what it comes down to. Losing my hair, it's turning white. I'm sagging in places guys aren't supposed to sag. I have fat rolls in places guys aren't supposed to have fat rolls. And I'm not the virile young man anymore. And it's creeping up on me. It's kind of funny. I'm walking down here. Remember when I told you that I slipped on the ladder a couple of weeks ago and fell? This right here, this is the ladder right here. These are the rungs. They're about that wide. And so that's the ladder I was on. And I was coming down off the bunk, which is right above my head here. That's the bunk. You can see the TV is on up there, on the wall across from the bunk. The bunk's right over my head. And I'm coming down that ladder. And even this morning, I'm walking down that ladder and it's narrow and I'm barefoot and I'm coming down that ladder and I'm like, man, it's slippery. I almost want to put carpet around them, or I want to go buy a step ladder with wider feet on and put the step ladder in here. Because you're just like, I'm gonna fall on my butt again. That's why I'm having a back problem the last couple of weeks. Was when I fell, I was coming down off of that, and it was in the dark, and I missed that top rung. See, when I'm coming off this bed, I hit this top rung right here. That's where my foot first goes, and then I have my foot down up on the ladder. Well, I put my foot down in the dark too low, and I'm reaching for what I think is the first rung, and I slipped and I fell right down. And because I had lost my balance because I didn't get my foot in the right spot. And I think, is that because I'm an old guy? No, it's because I missed the stupid rung on the ladder. And I could have done that at age 19. So I slipped, went down hard on my ass on the floor, and I didn't bounce. I didn't tremble. I didn't roll, and I just went boom. I was on my butt, and I went, ow. It was just like that, ow. And it threw that old Marine Corps brake that I had in my lower back, and it pushed the disc in, the very lowest one before you hit the sacrum. And so I displaced my disc. slipped it, you could call it. And so I've got now this vicious sciatica as a result of that over on my right side. And um, it's like I called my chiropractor back home. He's also a physical therapist, and he's worked with me a lot with these things over the years. And I've never really had big back problems because I take care of it. But I went to the chiropractor here, and it was so damn expensive because it's off my insurance down here. And so I went to a couple of sessions, and I'm like, the guy wanted to see me 5 more times in a row. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't have $1,000 today to pay for back stuff. And so I called my doc and I said, give me some exercises, Leo. I said, I need to know what to do with this. What are some of the things I can do to help? And so he walked me through a bunch of the exercises that I can be doing and stretches and things like that. And that's keeping it okay. But I woke up this morning and it was tight and a little painful in there. And I'm crawling down that ladder and I'm like, my son said to an old friend of his yesterday, he was talking online and he said, yeah, my dad's getting older and, it's nice I love being with my dad. I love my dad. And he says, but I can see where he's getting older, or however he put it. And I'm like, I'm 60 years old. I'm climbing down a kid's ladder from a bed. And, I thought went through my head this morning. I thought, damn it, I am not an old man. I am 60, which is supposed to be the new 40, if you didn't know that. And, my skin's wrinkling. I got more bags under my eyes and wrinkles than I've ever had and all of that. And we all experience it. This is life. This is mortality. And sometimes I'm not one of those guys that's like, I've got to pretend to be young or trying to frantically hang on to my youth, which many people do. But, you do at a certain point, you try to say, not long, I'm going to be an old guy. I'm going to be an old man. I'm not talking an older gentleman, who's, 40 going on 50 or 50 going on 60. We all hit that. Leslie, you've shared your age a lot with us on here, and you're just a couple of years older than I am, and I'm sure you feel it too. You feel that I do everything I can to stay in shape. You go running, you do things, you're active and you're adventurous, and you do all these things. Yet you still look in the mirror in the morning, and you go, I'm not as young as I used to be. And it's like I say, I could party like I used to when I was a frat boy, but it just hurts more now. So, you come to terms with those. But I was coming down that ladder this morning saying, I'm 60. And my son's like, you be careful going up and down that ladder, Dad. And it's because I fell once. Then yesterday, we're out taking pictures of a finished roof. When we've got construction done, we take pictures and submit the report to the insurance agency to get the second payment in. And the insurance agencies will pay half up front. And then when you finish the work and show that it's all finished, they pay the second half. And so we went out and took pictures of a house yesterday that was just finished the roof. And I got in the bed of the pickup truck to get up a little higher. And I thought I want to be a little higher. And there's one of the big toolboxes up to the front of the back bed. And I crawled up on top of that. And I thought, okay, that's a perfect angle. And I'm taking my pictures. And as I went to get down, I stepped to it's just a long rectangular box. I stepped to the front end of the box and the thing tipped. It was on things, but not fastened down. I didn't realize that. The whole toolbox tipped. I went down. And of course, what's flashing through your mind is I'm going to exacerbate the thing I just damaged again 2 weeks ago. And so, you do your Captain Kirk tuck and roll, I know how to fall. I'm a stunt man. And so I fell down, and we had a couple of bags of white garbage that were thrown in the back of the truck. And so I land half on top of those and half on the edge of the truck and then into the bed. and of the truck, and I'm like, ow, that hurt, but I didn't hurt my back again because I knew I felt myself. It's amazing how the brain works in that split second of standing, falling. In that split second, your brain says you're falling, do something, and I was able to prevent anything from getting more hurt. Hey, Morgan Snow, how you doing? Yeah, you're right. Going up is better than going down. Maybe. I'm sorry. That's where my head goes. I'm a guy. You got to give me a break. I'm a guy. Going down's pretty good too. I'm sorry. Oh, those of you who don't know the reference, it'll come to you. Everything's an entendre these days, isn't it? Everything. So sometimes going down is better than going up. I'm just saying. Just saying. And if you're offended by that, I'm sorry, but I make no apologies. Coffee? Mm. Ah, it's that oh shit moment, says Steph. You're absolutely right. Oh shit, falling. And so, it's not a bad fall. It's just I'm like, my son's like, Dad, you're old and frail. Be careful. So I'm not old and frail. Watch, I'll fall again just to prove it. So hey, Siani, nice to see you. And you're right, it doesn't feel like it, does it? So let's see. Siani's a chicklet. So Siani, what does that mean? You're like 20 or something, or I don't know how old you are. But not that it matters. It's not my business. I'm just saying if you're calling yourself a chicklet or somebody else referring to you that as that, maybe you're a youngin'. So Audrey says you're so far from old and frail. Well, thank you. I'm not looking for compliments. I'm just saying there are days. This back thing has me gimpy right now, and I may be able to present a persona of being I'm virile. I'm still young for an old guy, and I got muscle and I got strength. I can do things. I can fight. I can walk. I can run. I can. But right now, getting in and out of the truck is sometimes like, fuck, that hurts. Getting in and out of the truck. Hey, thank you, Jerry. I appreciate that, brother. That's very nice. $5 gift from Jerry. Appreciate that, brother. And um, that means a lot to me. I appreciate that. Let's see. Steph says, Roger, I've learned to use my talent. It's a way to catch people off guard and to change subjects and make people laugh. Well, I thought you were going to say your talent to fall right. um, I fall sometimes, and I say to my kids who are around me, and I jump up and I put my arms up and I go, don't try that at home, kids. Which brings up a story. This is why I'll make a good grandpa someday. I've got a whole hell of a lot of stories. Roy Rogers says, I'm 32. I'll be 33 in April. But with this Kinsey stuff, I feel like I'm 55 to 60. Stress, lack of sleep, rapid aging. That's it, brother. Stress will kill you. And we talk about that on the show sometimes. Stress will kill us before anything else. And stress will age you too. It'll age your face, it'll age your body, and the way you react to things. So I don't know if my light's doing well here or not. And I'm grizzly this morning. When my white grizzle grows out, that's when I look even older. It's like I like to make sure I shave before I go out, but some days I don't think about it. And I go out and I'm all grizzled. I got 3-4 days of growth. And it's like, nah, thinking of taking the mustache back down. It's too big. I look like an old guy with a big mustache. Now, is that chasing after youth? Is that what that is? Wanting to look better, wanting to not look so old, not to look as old as you feel. I used to say, and this has probably not a hot reference for a lot of younger folks. If you know who the actor Robert Mitchum was, he died over 20 years ago, I think. Leslie, you and me, people our age, are going to remember who Robert Mitchum was. Great old screen actor. And I used to say, I feel as old as Robert Mitchum's eyes look. Now that has no reference nowadays anymore. So I just remembered the hair coloring bit from a few months back. That was a shocker seeing the first time. Yeah, I got stuff. I even got a box of it here. I used to get his stuff in the mail that would come once every 6 weeks or something from this company because I signed up for it and then I forgot to cancel it. So I'd keep getting it. So I got a bunch of these um, stacked up. These little boxes of hair color that's supposed to be my natural color, and it brings back your natural, and it keeps a little bit of your gray in there. Like I would never color the temples. I didn't want those colored. Sometimes I did, but it still shone through it. But your white facial hair gives it away. And then I thought I'm doing that to retain my youth, to look a little more youthful. And I thought, man, if women can do it, why can't men do it? Color your hair, keep a little natural color. My only problem is when I color my hair, I look like a 60-year-old man trying to color his hair to look younger. So you prefer me au naturel? Why, thank you, Leslie. Cuckoo, cuckoo. And yeah, it's its natural shade right now. So looks darker in the dark light, in the sunlight it's like pure white in the sunlight. So it all depends on the light that's hitting. But all that to say, I'm talking about me and my stuff because that's me talking. But I'm talking about things we all experience. So dashing or dashing. The worst thing I think a woman can be told is, "My, you're a handsome woman." Used to be a compliment, but that means you're getting older. So same thing with guys. Guys, we're the same way. I have no problem admitting I still wish I could turn the young ladies' heads. You want to walk around and you see a young lady that kind of glances at you, kind of like, oh, make sure I suck my stomach in and put my chest up because I lift weights and I have pecs. I'm strong. It's not because we're trying to get them into bed or anything like that. It's nice. It's nice to say a woman recognizes you for looking good. And, I feel like my body doesn't look all that good anymore. I'm thick. I've got that post middle age thickness to my body. And so I'll never be the skinny 32-inch waist again with six pack. I suppose I could if I could afford to hire a trainer and work out 6 hours a day. I might be able to. But Steph says, I like to stick my boobs out because I have none. Nice. And so that's the way it is. That's the human condition. That's humanity. Some people it doesn't bother. Some people are greatly bothered by their aging. Um, I used to thought I'd make a cool old man. Um, I think if I go totally bald, that will give me a whole different perspective on the way I look as an older man. I don't want to go bald. I like my hair. I hope I can keep as much of it as I can. But it's thinning rapidly. I don't know if it's any more thinner, maybe bit by bit if you look at pictures from 10 years ago. But walk around with your pants unzipped. You get all the eyeballs you want, says Roger. If they're offended, you can use the old man defense. Yeah, there it is. My oldest son said, Mom, your hair's getting thin. I can see your scalp. I replied, wait till you get my age. You're going to be bald like your dad. Boom. Jerry says big boobs are overrated. I like big boobs, and I cannot lie. But I don't like massive boobs. I also like small boobs. I like women. I like the way women look. And I'm a guy. I like naked women, but that's because of the way we're wired. Why at 60 years old can a man still create babies, but at 60 years old, it's almost deathly impossible for a woman to have a child. And why would a woman want to go through pregnancy at age 60? But you know what? At age 60, I could produce offspring across the nation if I wanted to, if that's the kind of person I was. Except I'm fixed now, so I can't anyway. Um, let's see. My hubby loves my boobs, says Siani. The lucky man that has a wife whose boobs he loves. And I love my wife's boobs. Let's just be honest. They're attractive, they're shapely, they appeal to me, and I'd I'd post pictures of them all over my Facebook and stuff if I could, just to go, look at this gorgeous woman. Look what I get to touch. But you can't do that. It's improper. But my thought on that isn't prurient, like, hey, want to see my wife's boobs, and it's not that. It's I have some beautiful pictures of my wife from back when we weren't married yet, but we had our house together. It was just before we were married. I used to do the reenacting with the 1750s of the Scottish regiments and the British redcoats and the kilts in America during the French and Indian War. And we had a little pub in the basement. We'd taken the basement, the long basement room, typical in a Rambler style house, and made it look like a 16th century pub. We put plaster on the walls, and I put big wooden beams every 6 feet and across the ceiling, and angled ones coming up. We hung lanterns from them, and we painted it like a set. So I painted the plaster. It was all plywood. I wasn't going to refinish the room. I just covered it over with plaster and painted, made it look like old and aged with some cracks in it all throughout the room. We had a bar down there. That's where we had our gatherings and stuff. But Rainy's standing in that room, and I had the British flag hanging, an old French and Indian War era looking British flag. And she's in my British red coat, which doesn't fasten up, it hangs open. And she's naked except for tiny little panties on. And she's got that on, and she's like this, stretching, and that red coat's hanging open, boobs are out, and it's a gloriously beautiful picture. Yet I can't post that. I can't share that with people. I could print it and put it in a big frame and hang it on the wall. Some people would look at that and go, I can't believe he's got a naked woman on his wall. That's his wife. And I'm like, that is a gorgeous photograph. I'd love to hang that up. But some people are so hung up on stuff that it's like, you can't put a boob shot up on your wall in your family home. I'm like, why not? My kids grew up sucking on those things, and they became utilitarian nutrition stations for several years. And, as well as it's sexually appealing, viscerally appealing. My wife has a great body, and it's like, that'd be a great shot. But it's improper in some circles. So what do you do with that? It's too bad. So that maybe lets you a little insight in on me. Oh, Scott's some kind of perv. No perv. Just happen to like my wife's naked body. I think my wife's beautiful. So what? And if somebody says you're a perv, I go, shut up. So I am not. So yeah, Rainey is one gorgeous woman, Leslie. You're absolutely right. She's a cutie, says Siani. Thank you. Smash that like button, says Jerry. I'm totally cool with my rack. They fit in a wetsuit. Oh Jesus. Thank you for that image, Audrey. And I still look like a woman, so it's all good. Let's see, Scotty, I don't want to do my Roman paper. Any help on that? I might be able to help you. Give me a shout. See what we can talk about on the Romans. What's the topic in particular? Boobs are a pain in my back, says Rhonda. Now, I have heard that with some women who are well endowed. And I'm assuming you mean by that, Rhonda, and I've seen some of your pictures that you're well endowed enough that sometimes that's a pain. And I've heard that from women that I don't like my big boobs because it makes me slouch a little, or isn't it hard? I would imagine. I'm a guy now. I don't have boobs, I just man boobs, I'm 60. But I'm a guy and I like to walk erect. Probably wrong choice of words. good posture. When I'm out walking these neighborhoods and I'm knocking on people's doors, I don't slouch. I stand up straight. I roll my shoulders back and my chin's high. And this is the way, and I knock on doors and I stand with posture. So I can't imagine that a woman who stands with posture, if you're well endowed and you're going, roll your shoulder. I tell that to Rainey sometimes. Rainey kind of walks a little bit like this, just slouching around the house and stuff. And I say, look, I said, stand up straight and roll your shoulders back. She stands up straight and rolls her shoulders back. And it's like, and it's like, hi. So, and we're guys. So we're like, yeah, we're dumb. And so, and I don't mean that in that woke, stupid male. So, yes, guys are so dumb. I don't mean it that way. I mean, we're just dumb. We're boob struck. And it's the way we are. It's the way we're wired. Why are we wired that way? I've always wondered. I thought the day I get to meet God someday, I've got questions. And one of them would be, I know that a woman's breasts get fuller and all of that when they're pregnant and when they're breastfeeding and stuff like that. The roundness, the firmness, the fully packedness. I know that that's there. But you touch them and you get your hand slapped. It's like, don't, those hurt. I'm pregnant. Not all the time, but sometimes. It's like, that's a cruel trick to play on guys. Was it like God said, here, watch this. I'm going to make women's boobs bigger and guys are going to go nuts, but let's make them tender so they can't be touched. Watch this. Watch what happens. And God got a good laugh out of it and let it be. Yeah, Leslie, it's my home. I will put those on. One of these days, I'll blow that up. I'm going to put it on, print it on like a canvas and do it in some artsy colors. I wish I had the original photo. The problem is I took that photo on a low res digital camera. I think. I have other shots of her from the time where you may have seen them if you're on my Facebook page, where she's standing behind the bar and the red wall behind the bar, and she's wearing the Darkness Radio, Dave Schrader, Tim Dennis, their t-shirt. And she's got it, pulled in tight around the waist and tied in a knot in the back. And, and she's standing there showing off the Darkness Radio shirt with all her big brunette hair all over the place. And it's a great shot. I put that up, but it was in that same room. But I took that on my high-res camera. I want to say I took that other picture of her on the high-res camera, but I don't know if I've got it in high-res anywhere anymore. Somewhere along the way, that's missing. But I could probably take it and do some special effects on it and make it look really cool for a print. To print on canvas, yeah, why would women pay for them? Oh my God, Al. I've seen pictures. I look at that and I go, the fake boobs aren't all that appealing to me. It's like, whoa, that cuts a nice silhouette, but I'm not drawn to that. So I have some artsy to say. It just jumped on me. I have some artsy. I have some artsy photos of myself. Oh wait, nope, those are sexing selfies. Never mind. My phone number is 651. I'm a connoisseur. That's all I can say. I'm an aficionado. Let's see. It's your house. Who cares what people think? They don't have to look at that pic. That's true. I don't have any problem with that. I don't have any naked pictures of my wife hanging on the wall. I'm trying to think if I even have scantily clad. Oh, there's one picture I took of her where standing in front of her. She's just wearing like a men's shirt and it's open down to the middle of the cleavage kind of. But she's not showing cleavage because she's leaned forward and her shoulders are back and she's wearing my fedora. I got that picture is hanging on our living room wall amongst pictures of the whole family. And we got a whole wall that's all pictures that Rainey put up. And so that one's hanging. But it's not suggestive, but a guy will look at that and go, oh, that's Rainey. And so massive breasts have to be uncomfortable, says Roger Rabbit. And I would think so too. Jerry said, my wife is a D cup. I know what you're saying. Now, my wife's a D cup as well. I think she might be double D cup. I don't even know anymore, but they're big, but they're not ungodly, untowardly big. They're big and cool and beautiful. But when she was pregnant, I want to say the first time, those babies shot up to an H cup. And she was like, oh my God. And she was in tears. She said, are they going to stay this way? She said, I can't even find bras to wear that they fit into. And it was all natural. And it was like, honey, I think those are going to subside a bit. And she's bigger now than she was when we were dating. Not much, but just different shape. Bodies reapportion, especially for a woman who's had 3 kids. I'm amazed at how fantastic my wife looks for having 3 kids. There you go. You love this show this morning? Talking about boobs, nakedness, my wife's boobs, blah, blah, blah. And so we talk about more than that. If you're new to the show today, this isn't what we talk about very much. And I hope none of you are like, oh, it's just not my cup of tea this morning. I'm gonna go. Don't, because there's more. Hard for me, Scotty, if I'm wearing big latex suits to have to bind them down, very uncomfortable. After 5 hours in a xenomorph, it's murder. I can bet, Rhonda, you do all that cosplay stuff, and I could not imagine being bound up in something like that. I have little bits of claustrophobia. My claustrophobia really comes out like if I'm in a shirt and it feels and something binds or I'm sitting wrong and it bound in the armpit or something, or so I'm just like, I got to get out of this shirt. And sometimes you're in public and you can't do it, and you got to reapportion things. I could not imagine that. I wonder if God is annoyed by him. Multiple questions, says Siani. And maybe if he's even going to answer them, like those. Why'd you do that? Maybe when we're over there on that side of things, we meet God, it's not going to matter anymore. It's going to be something totally different realm of existence. Am I going to be talking about my wife's boobs in the afterlife? I don't know. But I do know there's an awful lot of ghosts that obviously dig naked women, that attack naked women, attack sleeping women. I know those stories. So is that still there? Is that demonic? Is it ghostly? Don't know. Steph says, Roger, my daughter was 34H and now she's pregnant. And she's like, oh my God, mom, why couldn't I be like you? I guess you take back all that time you picked on me, right, kid? Yeah, so I get that. And, with all this talk of big boobs for fun, I don't want you, Steph, or anybody who says, I don't have huge boobs. Doesn't matter. I love the sensuality of women, the sensuality of the body. And by sensual, I mean the sensual beauty of that. I'm not like a horn dog. Like I see a woman who looks good, small breasted, big breasted, anything in between. And it's like, oh, daddy wants to do that. You know, you have those moments, but that's where I look at my wife and she gets out of the shower and comes into the bedroom with nothing but a towel wrapped around her hair. And I'm like, ooh, daddy wants you to hop in this bed. That's just the way it is. So that's the way it is. So I don't try to capitalize on that stuff on this show, on my shows in general. This is a Saturday morning. Who the hell cares? We're just talking. It's not a show. So let's see. What did I miss there? Oh, good. That I stopped at 3, said Morgan. I'm not sure what you guys are talking about there, but there it is. Where's Field Guy? He's missing this one. He's probably sleeping. Field Guy's an all-night kind of guy. I think he's probably still in bed. So, Morgan, it's super saggy after 4. Are you talking about kids, guys, after 3 or after 4? It's just fuel. It's like Red Bull in a pick. I think I know what you're talking about there, Roger. Roger, I've actually addressed men that were walking by, says Steph, and checked out my daughter in a creepy way. Out when she was 14 years old, and I actually made their wives look like, what are you doing, mister? Yeah, there are guys that do that. They look at they go, the mom's my age, but the daughter's who? And you're like, perv? And so I deliberately try to never do that. I never look. Now, I will say this much. There are times the older I get, I shouldn't even preface it with that line. This is 20 years ago. Back in 1998, I remember the year because of what we were doing, the event we were at. But a couple of, we were doing a historical reenactment in our red coats, and our whole regiment was out. We had the whole camp set up. We were shooting muskets, and we're wandering through the little village set up with all the sutlers that are selling their wares to the public. And these two young ladies walk by, and they're gorgeous. They're in costume, but they got the cleavage and they got the whatever, and it's like and we find out later these are 14 and 15-year-old girls. And I said to my buddy, I said, when did 14 and 15-year-old girls start having boobs like a 30-year-old? And they start looking like 30-year-old. Is it the makeup and the hair? Is it the have kids changed? Because I remember 13, 14, 15-year-old kids when I was that age, they all had braces and they all, they were still goofy, gangly looking kids. Nowadays, they all, try to look, they want to be the next Kardashian on the, which reminds me, oh my God, I got to find this. I'm rabbit trailing severely here. My son put up something yesterday at some point. Let's see if I can find it. He put it up. This is what I saw. Let's see if he's got it up here. Check in. It's before that, I think. I thought he reposted this. You know who did put it up? Janae Roberts. Let's just see. Hold on. Not a relative. I got more Roberts on my Facebook page that are not relatives. Everybody must think, oh, you got a lot of relatives. Okay, this is it. This is the post. It goes like this. Now at the top of this post, it says Kim Kardashian files for divorce from Kanye West, and it's circled. And then an arrow pointing down to this guy's post. And this guy says, the Amazon River runs for thousands of miles. At some points, it runs through areas of rainforest that are almost untouched and have been barely explored. Because of the porous limestone in these areas, the river water leaks through the stone and travels deep into the earth and forms underground pools almost a mile below the surface. Over thousands of years, small, blind, transparent fish have lived and evolved in these pools. These fish have never seen the sun or surface and have never been seen by the human eye. These fish care more about Kim Kardashian's divorce than I do. I thought there was a great buildup to that little thing. So I don't care about it. As I mentioned, Kim Kardashian. Let's see. I'm going to. Jerry says, when my wife was pregnant, I had to go to a special place to get bras. Yeah, we did that too. I had to go to maternity stores or maternity stores online. But Rainey was almost afraid to buy them online in case they didn't fit, and she had to send them back and go through that process. It's super saggy after 4, said Ciani. Where's Field Guy? Thanks for the info, Roger. I thought for sure if we said boobs 5 times, Field Guy would certainly show up. That is a good observation, Roger, but I haven't seen him yet. Morgan Snow said, good, I stopped at 3. I think you're probably talking about saggy boobs there. A woman in those old school clothes is sexy as hell. That's very true. And a lot of these women, when we did the regiment, they were wearing historical costumes. And they weren't really costumes. And Rhonda, you can attest to this. There are certain costumes that are costumes, and there are certain costumes that are historical clothing. You've made something to actually be clothing. Costume, I think of Velcro and zippers and stuff like that. You can have elaborate costumes, of course. I think the more elaborate the costume, the more closer you're getting to actual clothing. It's like I once wanted to make one of these Star Trek uniforms from like the Wrath of Khan era with the old crew. The deep red, they were really like jackets, that had the little placket that came up here and clipped and the belts on them, and they were all obviously tailor made. And they were built. I see people at some of these conventions, they make those out of like cotton and they sag on their shoulders and stuff. It's like, if you're going to make a costume, for God's sake, make costume into clothing, make it look like it looks on screen, or don't wear it. You don't need to be walking around, especially if you're 40 pounds overweight, 50 pounds overweight, and you love this, you're a geek, you don't do anything with your hairstyle. You wear your current glasses and you make this saggy cotton costume of a Starfleet uniform. Don't do it. Just say no. Costumes. When you wear them, a costume is for Halloween. Clothing is what you make when you're doing things like what Rhonda does. Oh, you did a 1600 plague doctor. That's accurate. Plague Doctor is awesome, says Audrey. Yeah, you've got to make, when you make your costumes, Rhonda, from what I've seen of pictures of your costumes, folks, if you're on Facebook, go look up Rhonda's site, her page. Her costumes are awesome. And it looks like you put a hell of a lot of time, money, and effort into those. And I love looking at your stuff. Costumes. Whew, with all the boob talk there, you got to be careful. And so, what do I think about Star Trek Discovery, Jerry? I love it. First season, it was like, this is Star Trek. It's okay. It had some decent writing. I wasn't sure, the more they expand this Star Trek universe from what the original was, the more stuff you're going to get into. I like the fact that they're doing that. Season 2 of Discovery knocked it out of the park for me because it was the Captain Pike thing. It tied into old things that I knew. And I thought they did such a fantastic job casting Anson Mount, even though he's a flaming liberal. Hope I didn't ruin that for anybody. Casting him as Captain Pike, he looks the part from the old series. He plays the part well. And now they're doing the spin-off series of that. Strange New Star Trek Strange New Worlds. The stories of Captain Pike and Spock and number one, his first mate, Majel Barrett played her in the original. And that looks like it's going to be absolutely phenomenal. Jason Isaac as Captain, I can't remember his name in Discovery. Phenomenal job. I was sad that he's not there after season 1. I liked the Asian actress, and I can't think of her real name. She plays Giorgio, is her character name. Phenomenal casting. I've even been able to overlook some of the things that I thought, oh, they're going too far out of their way to make sure everybody's gay, or there's lots of gay couples, or trans people and stuff. I thought, okay, it's okay to mention this. It's okay. It's part of society. It's who we are these days. It's what we understand about the human condition these days. But you don't have to overdo it and show me, okay, every other couple's gay or trans or something. And they have some great characters. There's a gay couple on the ship, the chief engineer and the doctor. And it worked for me. It was okay for me. It's like, okay, it's okay. It's not your daddy's Star Trek, but it's okay. Season 3, I only liked season 3 because the writing was so amazing, Jerry. It was a little too, some quarters have called Discovery the emo Star Trek. A lot of emotions, a lot of crying, lots of tears, lots of deep pathos in those stories. And sometimes I sit and I cry through them. And I'm going, wow, this is a really emo Star Trek, isn't it? But it brings out the human condition more than any of the other series I've seen. And I like that about it. I loved Captain Pike all through the second season. I already said that. And Spock was there. Because remember, Discovery is set in that era just before the time of Kirk and Spock. They're still on the 5-year mission with Pike and Spock. And so Wrath of Khan was my favorite. And then, I got to mention, now that you mentioned Wrath of Khan, Audrey, that costume. I would love to have the red costume, like Kirk's costume, the red with the thing and the white placket that folds out and the belt, and all of that. But I would never wear one like that's where I got off. I rabbit trailed on the people who, God bless their hearts, they love it. It's their fan thing. They live it. They build these costumes and they make them out of like cotton t-shirt material or a little heavier than that, and they just sag. There's no oomph to them. There's no real to them. So I'm going to build those. Those were built out of gabardine wool, which is what they make men's suits out of. A lot of men's suits are gabardine wool, and they're built and they've got liners in them. They've got some shoulder padding in them, not the 80s shoulder padding, even though the movie was made in the 80s, but you can tell it's built like a man's suit. You get a man's suit and it wears like a t-shirt, it's not a suit. But you get, I want to make a costume like that. Now, Rainey, this is another one of her many talents. She made some of my costumes for the festival. She made Renaissance Festival. She made all her own dresses, these big court dresses. Fabulous, unbelievable pictures of her in some of her court costumes. Now, she played the year that we started dating. She was playing a courtesan on the Renaissance Festival cast. Now, how appropriate. And she had this red corseted thing, but she did it properly, historically. But she had the heaving boobs, she had the right shirt, the right skirts. And she made all this stuff, and it was very historic. But she did hers, and she had the red bands in her hair that would traipse down in the fan. She was a courtesan, which was basically the royal prostitutes, if you will. But courtesans were also very well known historically for advising kings from the privacy of bedchambers. And but that's what she played. And that's when we met. And that's when I went, hi. And we had met before that, but that's when we started dating, was that era. But she makes all, and then she made herself a court costume that was unbelievable to match kind of the color scheme of the costume she made for me. Mine was easy, just a doublet made out of upholstery fabric is almost the best because it's heavy duty. She put all the liners in them, and the edgings and the sleeves were detached, and they lace in. So she put in all the brackets. I was considered brackets, the holes for lacing on a sleeve because they were removable, and I would wear it open, and I'd have the shirt, the white shirt, rough shirt underneath, and open the big belt for my sword, and then my sword belt on top of that, and black velvet tights and black knee-high leather bucket boots. Those were, they weren't buckets. I wore them up and put leather garters around them and buckles and things like that. But it was all very accurate historically. And she makes that kind of stuff. So Steph loved going to the Renaissance festivals. Haven't been to one in a while. I haven't even been to ours in 10 years. So Rainey and I went out to visit. Less than 10 years. I went out with John Ward back 5-6 years ago, something. So I miss the cons, like Audrey says. I do too. Can't wait for 2022. We have a big con up here, Audrey. I don't know if you've been to it. It's not mini con. It's Convergence. That takes place. It used to take place every 4th of July weekend, and there'd be 20,000 people there every day. It was crazy stuff. What made me end my time at the Renaissance Festival, Scotty? I'll say it in one word: my wife. I'll tell you this: Rainey and I started dating in 2005, so 16 years ago. It'll be 16 years this summer. And 2005 happened to be my last season at the festival. Now, I had a high-profile role out there. That's in those of you who've seen my Facebook page or my website. If you go to my website, scottallenroberts.com, and click on the About link, scroll down, you'll see some of my pictures from the Renaissance Festival. And there was one where I was in a black and red. It's like how they did the checkerboard kind of, but it was quadrants and black, red, and it had the silver embroidery, real silver, mind you, on real leather, of lions, the royal lions and the fleur-de-lis. and the black tights and the black boots and the swords and all of that. So that was the year I met Rainey. I was in great shape, of course. You know, I was only she was 24, I was 44, and when we met, and um, I quit because we were dating, and the next year, 2006, she said, "I don't want you doing festival anymore." Why? Doing this for a long time. This is my life. I love doing this. And her take at the time was, well, festival's all about sex, drugs, and alcohol. And I said, never have I taken drugs out there. Pot now and then. Rainey smoked pot. No big deal there. So I don't think she meant pot. But alcohol, yeah. There was drinking. We had all our after parties. And it was not like riotous, wild, naked orgies or anything. It was after parties. Everybody had their parties. A lot of the crafters in their shops, they would set up and they'd cook and stuff, and people could stop by, friends of theirs, and join the little private parties all over. There was the Blue Lion Tavern, which was set up every night for the cast, and this wasn't open to the public. It was just the cast, and you could go get drinks and drink your till you were ridiculously hammered, or you could just drink and you hang with friends. And um, so that's what we did. And but the sex part, she's right about that. There was a lot of sex out at the festival. Put yourself, any of you, Rhonda. I'm not saying this is the way you are. I'm just saying, Rhonda, you're familiar with theater. You're familiar with what we used to call suspension of reality. You're out there, you're in costume, or you're creating characters or a cast. It's the same way in theater. Why do you think there's so many affairs in theater? So many affairs in the movies. Um, Same thing. Festival was big. It was street theater. It's a theater. And why do you think that happens? Because you get in this mode of, for the public, you are performing what is called suspension of reality. You have to suspend reality for a while to get them to sink into what you're doing. This is a 15th century or 16th century village and the king is here, and the queen, and the royal court, and all the characters, 200 characters on the street, mingling with the public and interacting with the public, and performing for the public. And our interactions, it's not just theater where you just have a script and you're giving it to an audience from a stage, and you don't really interact with the audience. Street theater and the festival was, if you weren't just there for color and you were doing your just playing around and whatever, you usually had a backstory to your character, which the public didn't usually know. You built these characters so you could present them in reality, quote unquote, to the public. But you'd interact with the public because you're on the street with them, wandering, walking around. And so, yes, yes, says Rhonda. I think that's to the suspension of reality. And so, what would happen at a festival? Same thing that happens in a theater. Same thing that happens with movie stars and all of this. You get into that suspension of reality and you live that for 7 weeks in a row. You go back to your day jobs, but when you're at festival, you live for the weekends. And so the day job breezes by during the week, and you still communicate with everybody else. You meet, you all have drinks at the local Irish pub during the week, and because you're all going to be together in 2 more days and, perform on the street. Hey, Heather White in Scotland. How you doing, darling? Good to see you. My dear friend, Heather White. By the way, she did a drawing of me. Guys, if you've been to my Facebook page and you see in my select pictures, the 8 pictures you can select, whatever it is. And I've got the one where I've got my shirt ripped open, showing off, my scar. Back when it was only about 2 weeks old, so it was really fresh looking. She drew a picture of that in pen and ink, quick pen and ink and wash, and she posted it to my page. She is an outstanding, fabulous artist, Heather White. And she's over in Glasgow. If I'm not mistaken. Are you in Glasgow proper, or are you in the outskirts? But I think you're in Glasgow proper. but she's an amazing artist. She does amazing pencil drawings, graphite drawings, and she does and real life portraits. Um, and she does plaster walls and things. I don't know exactly what you call it, Heather White, but she also makes cakes. Have you ever seen those shows on TV like Cake Boss or something, where they make these glorious, unbelievable cakes? Heather White does that too. Heather, I'm surprised you haven't got your own TV show. She does amazing, amazing work. Go check her out on Facebook, Heather White, from Glasgow, Scotland. So you deserve it. You deserve the praise. 10 miles from the city center. I have never been to Glasgow. I have skirted Glasgow. Coming down, we came down from Loch Ness down through I don't know how this appears on your end. I don't know if I'm seeing a mirror reflection of myself here. I think it is. But so you'd come down from up here in the Inverness and Loch Ness, and you go down through the Highlands, and we came down and back around Glasgow. And you are amazing, Heather White. So own it, own that. So if somebody says, Heather White, you're a god or a goddess, you know what the proper answer to that is? Why, yes, I am. If anybody calls you a god, folks, the proper answer is, yes, I am. You don't even thank them. Yes, I am. So, was somebody said something here? Cake creators are amazing artists. You got to see her cakes. It's unbelievable. And I forgot where I was, what I was talking about before Heather came in, and I wanted to mention her stuff. But you missed all the good talk, Heather. We were talking about boobs and all that kind of stuff for a while there, from a very refined intellectual point of view, by the way. I miss going to the Ren Fair, says Audrey. I miss alien conventions and conferences. Go hang out in the costume room so I can feel close to those vibes. Yeah, we liked that. And I think I was just talking about, it was Roger Rabbit. This all comes off of Roger Rabbit's question. Why did I ever quit the festival? I loved the festival. I quit because in 2005 was my last full year. And Rainey and I were dating. And by the time summer came around, she said, I don't want you to do fest this year. She said, I'm not going to do it either. Sex, drugs, and alcohol, she said. We were talking about all of that stuff. Yeah, there's drinking. Yeah, I've got my famous stories from out there, the after parties and things. And but that suspension of reality, that's what we were talking about. Rhonda had mentioned, yes, the suspension of reality. So was there sex at the festival? That's like, was there oxygen at the festival? Is another thing. And some people from the festival say, oh, that's the prurient part of it. No, it's a natural part of festival. That's what people did out there. And there was more hookups and more after hours sex and stuff like that. And I don't know if any of my old festival friends are watching, but I can brag that while in the dark, where all the parties are, you can hear people laughing, you can hear music all over the site, because it was. Now they don't let you do after parties on site anymore. In that 15 years since I've been there, but I'm going to share a little secret with you. I once had sex with someone in the royal throne on the dais. I mean, that's what we did at festival. That was 20 years ago when that happened. And and I will say that was in the interim between wives. I was divorced, separated in 1999 to 2000, and I didn't meet Rainey till 2005. So but I made up for lost time in that 4.5 years. So I was reliving my youth in my early 40s. My early 40s. That's how old I am now. But yeah, there was that stuff. And Rainey just said, I don't want you doing festival anymore. Now, for good or ill or right or wrong, maybe she'd be different about that now. But 16 years ago, it was like, she knows what festival was all about. She engaged in some of that. So did I. And we met out there, as a matter of fact. So, and like most people, certain circles, maybe normal people. Rainey and I, we weren't together at first because we were in love with each other. That builds. We were together because we found each other attractive and the sex was fantastic and we wanted to keep doing that. And then it's like, I don't want you to ever leave. And we had our problems along the way, and I've told those stories, but it starts with the visceral attraction. It doesn't usually start with, and it's not saying that these things don't happen either. I'm talking in gross generalities here. But you see somebody and you say, hey, let's get together for a drink, and then you go to bed. That doesn't happen with everybody, but sex is a part of that, it seems, part of natural relationships. Rainey and I, sexual relationship. But I liked her. I pushed her away for a long time and said, I'm not going to do the relationship thing. We can have the sex part and we can hang out and have drinks and do something. I was a dick. I was not being a non-committal dick. I was being I'm not ever getting into a relationship again. I'd been burned too many times, it felt. And I let my baggage take over, and I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. But I was scared to death when I thought I was going to lose her. And I said, I don't want to lose this person. I've told that story before. So the sex was good. We did a lot together. We hung out together. We smoked together. We drank together. We went out together. We did our stuff together. We went everywhere together. And I remember when it was on the verge of being lost. The thing it does to my mind and my heart when I think there is a point where that could have been gone. If I had turned this way instead of this way, that relationship would never have been. I could have cut it off at its knees because I was afraid to be in a committed relationship again. And I pushed her away for so long. I was lucky that she put up with my bullshit. And she almost didn't. And there was that day she came over to my house to pick up all her things. And I told that story. There, it's supposed to be a happy Saturday morning show. It's a good story. It's just an emotional story for me. And I just said, I got on my knees and I said, don't go. And that was it. That was it. And she has been here ever since. We haven't not had our problems. Everybody's got their problems. We all have our problems. We all have stuff we go through. We almost didn't make it at one point. And we had some rough years. But you know what? I love my wife. And I came to the realization I love this person more than anybody in my world. So, me too, Heather. Me too. There was a time about 10 years ago, 11 years ago, we almost didn't make it. I almost walked out of that relationship. And that was after the birth of my first child with Rainey. Technically my fourth child, but Rainey's in my first child. And I'm so glad I didn't. So, me too, Leslie. Think of what I'd missed. So, I have come to that realization that is this, and this is such a sad commentary, is this what happens to us only as we grow older? When we're younger, some of you aren't even 40 yet. But when I was 40, I was 44 when I met Rainey. And she was 24. There's a 20-year difference between us. And but even at 44, it felt like I was still young. And I was still young and active and action and virile and great shape and all of that stuff. But is it because the age that comes with you that you realize what you have? And you're goddamn fucking lucky if you still have what you started with and come upon that realization and hadn't lost it along the way because you were a fuck up or you were dicking around or you were doing whatever. or not wanting commitment. And I'm so glad I can say now that I love Rainey with more than anything in this world. And frankly, I'm not talking, this is not suicidal talk. I'm just saying I wouldn't want to live without her. Just another colloquial way of saying, if I didn't have her, I'd be a little lost, especially where we've gotten to now. I don't even like the thought of that. Leslie says, okay, goodbye, all. Love and blessings. Bye, Leslie. Sorry you have to go. And I probably should wrap it up soon. I've been talking for 2 hours. This is supposed to be a casual catch up on Saturday morning, early. Yeah, it's awesome. Somebody can make you feel young at any age, which is great energy. Yeah, I think so, Steph. People saying, Siani, I'm going to go back a little bit. And so Roger said in relation to Kinsey, we have looked into become a medical refugee in another state just to give Kinsey that opportunity. We can't afford to move or live anywhere else. So for now, we wait with great hope. I get that, Roger. I understand that. Steph had to go too. Damn. See, I'm getting late in the morning now, so it's close to time to wrap it. Let's see what else we got. I'm glad I came to my senses too, Leslie. I guess I'll have to be the rogue doc, Audrey, says Roger. I have all the knowledge and research, just no doctor before my name or any fancy letters after. I know what that's like, Roger, in different areas of life. Every relationship is rough times. You just got to know when the rough times are worth fighting for or not. Exactly. At the time, I almost decided it's not worth fighting for. I'm done fighting. At 44, I said, I'm too old for this. I'm 20 years older. So, thank you, Heather. I have started my paper, said Siani. Let me know if you need some help. I don't know if I can help you or not on the Roman stuff, but let me know what you're covering. Maybe you did earlier in the chat and I missed it. So, listening more than talking. Saying bye to Leslie. Oh, you were saying bye to Leslie, Steph. Okay. I thought everybody was having to jump ship. Hey, good morning, Matt. Master Finn is in the room. Do your proper obeisance to First Mate Master Finn. And Matt, we've got just a few minutes left. I'm going to wrap this. We've been going for almost 2 hours now, believe it or not. So, my coffee's even cooled down. It's not cold yet, but it is cooled down. So we've talked about a lot of stuff this morning. Did I skip Saturday and move right to Sunday? No, we'll do Sunday morning tomorrow. This was just to make up for the fact that last night we couldn't do the show. And Augustus Caesar. I know a little bit about Tiberius. Augustus, known as Tiberius as well. We could talk about that. There's a lot of interesting stuff that flows off the top of my head about Augustus. And yeah, Roger says, man, you missed all the boob talk. Especially lots of boobs, says Steph. So, yeah, you missed the good talk in here, Matt. So boobs are a good thing to talk about. And sometimes if you handle it properly, if you handle them properly, you can have a good discussion about it and still have fun with it. Oh, Octavian, not Tiberius. Gotcha. Okay. Right. Oh, well, there. Did I just destroy my knowledge of Augustus? Tiberius is who I know a lot about. Sorry about that. And you can ask me almost anything you want to about Tiberius. Not just any boobs, though. We were talking blimps. Yeah, we did get into the big things. Hey, Susie Q. How you doing this morning? Good to see you. We're just going to get wrapped up here now. in the next couple of minutes. So there we go. And what else have I got to say? I'm kind of out of stuff for this morning. We actually had to get up very early to take one of our associates to the airport. So we were up at like 4 in the morning, drive him to the airport. And my son Sam went back to bed after playing some video games. And I said, I'm going to go in and do a little makeup show for missing last night. And that's what we're doing this morning. So there are too many Augustus Caesar. I get how it can be confusing. That's very true. So you're into the Octavian. All I know basic off the top of my head is he's the one that had the conflict with Mark Antony and Cleopatra. So very interesting stuff. I'm sorry you missed it too, Matt. You're gonna have to listen to it, and if you so choose, you can listen to it in. My phone is just going off. What's with that? Hold on. I sent my wife a message at like 4 this morning. I said, when you're up, let's see. So she may have messaged me. I have no idea. Nope, she hasn't yet. So we'll leave that sit. She saw my messages though. All right. So there you go, folks. Yep, he was the one who changed Rome into what we know it to be today. I agree. And he was some prissy little kid that they didn't think was going to amount to much. And look what he did. Look what he accomplished. And there's Augustus, who was Tiberius, who was crazy, but did some fantastic things as well. Scott Allen plans to stay in bed for a while today because you can. This is really a work day for me. Saturdays are big days because when people are home, we go calling on people. Yep, he was sickly most of his time, most of his life. You're right. And we should talk, Siani, when you have time. Sorry, I have things popping up in front of my window here. And Siani said 18 when he came to Rome. That's what the hidden folder in Photos app is for Steph. Nice. That's where I keep all my rainy pictures too. So we were talking about tasteful photos, nudes and stuff. And how do you get across it? I can do. Now look at Leonard Nimoy, who played Spock. He put out a whole book of nudes because he was a photographer. Called it Shekinah. Or the term Shekinah, the Hebrew word for the female presence of God. And Nimoy being Jewish, he entitled that his book. Sassy, says Matt. I love a good history discussion too, Siani. We'll have to do that. Not right after the show. I think I'm gonna go maybe catch up on my 3 hours of sleep from last night. And then Sam and I are gonna go out and hit some neighborhoods and talk to some of our clients. But I'll confess I have one of those folders, says Matt Finn. Don't we all? I think I have some tasteful photos. Well, I'm a tasteful kind of guy, Steph, so, shoot them over. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, I just don't like writing research papers, says Siani. It's great discussing this stuff, but sometimes having to sit down and write it, it's ridiculous. You get that. Paint me like one of your French girls, Jack, says Matt. Yes, exactly. Now, I haven't drawn or painted a nude of Rainey ever. I painted some pictures of her. I've got one of her I put on a book cover. If you go to scottallenroberts.com and you click on my art and design link, and if you look, I think it's in almost the upper left-hand corner. No, it's not there. It's, yeah, I think it is there. Hang on. You can look at it. It's right here. Maybe. If you go to my page and you click on, there's a big banner that's down below. You see the picture of me smoking the cigar. You see the red banner, and this is designer illustrator, blah, blah. And right below that says design illustration. Shows a bunch of my illustration design work. You click on that. And if you see in the, maybe it isn't on this page. I'm mistaken. That's my artwork on one side, my illustration work, my design work on the other. So go to, instead of that, you go to the top. I think it's the top one where it says book design. Not books down below. It says Intrepid Radio on one side, books on the other. That's my books. But you go to the top where it says book design, the very, very top of the page, and the little links across the top, book design. If you click on that and you scroll down, I've got Rainey on a couple of covers I've done, but I only painted her once for a book cover. And there you go. It's down about the middle of the page. You keep scrolling way down, and on the far left, you'll see a book cover, World War II story. It's a novel, and it says Peril on the Sea. I think it's on the sea. And if you click on that, there's a woman on the far left of the three characters across the top that the author had me illustrate. And I used Rainey for that. That's her face. And it gave her kind of a 1940s World War II looking hairstyle, but that's her. So I put her on some of my work. I also did some paintings of her. Hey, Teresa, how you doing? Good to see you. You say with bloodshot eyes. We're almost all talked out for this one. I mean, I could talk all day, but nobody pays me to do that. So we've been going for about 2 hours and 2 minutes now. And we're about ready to wrap it up. So what did Roger say? You ain't holding anything there? On this note about tasteful photos, 3 men, 1 camper. Does that thing have some serious stabilization? Yeah, it bounces when people walk around. I can only imagine what it does when, yeah, that doesn't happen here. By the way, that other thing, I mean, there's no sex in this trailer. It's more than a trailer. It's a big RV. But it bounces around. One of our guys, the guy who owns the company, Pete, he's over 300 pounds. He steps into the doorway at the far end of the camper. The whole camper does this. You know, that's why sometimes when I'm talking on the show, you see the camera doing that. You know why it's doing that? Somebody's walking in the kitchen. So no, there's no sorries, Teresa. I'm glad you stopped in to say hello. Nice to have you here. Alive, you say. Just wanted to. Karen Steele, how you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for stopping in. And you said, good day, Scotty, and all. On my second cup of mud. Well, outstanding. I'm on my second cup too, but now it's cold. I got to go. And by the way, I didn't bring any of my good coffee mugs. They're all still hanging at home on the hooks. And so we use these plastic mugs that we've got here. I got no reason to go out and buy china or mugs, or unless I see a really cool mug I want, or order one online, like a Star Trek mug or something. Might do that. Teresa, did you lick your finger and stick in a light socket while you're in your sleep? So, morning, beautiful beach burn, California dreamer. Who is that? Is that Karen Steele? Are you the California dreamer? The beach burn? Never look in a mirror when waking up. Ain't that the truth, Teresa? We do the same thing. So there we go, folks. We can kind of wrap this up. This was just meant as a, hey, we're just catching up because we couldn't do a show yesterday. And I'm sorry I missed last night. It was kind of a last minute thing that caused me to have to pull the plug. I couldn't get back here to the makeshift studio to do a show. And those of you looking on, if you don't know that, I am misplaced right now. I'm not at home. I won't be for a few more months. And this is the makeshift studio. I'll try to jazz it up as best I can, but for right now, this is what I got. And so watch the replay, Teresa. It's not as fun when you're not chatting with people live. Oh, it's you, Audrey. You're the beach burn. Yeah, I got it. Beach bum. Yeah, I believe that. But I need pictures of you on the beach in order for me to believe that. So there we go. That's all I got today. This was great, says Steph. Steph, you were in awfully early with Audrey, so I'm glad you stuck it all out today. Thanks for being here. Steph, I really appreciate having you around. And Heather White, my friend from Scotland, she was in. I don't know if she's still there. Heather, you have a good day. Matt, you have a good day. I know you couldn't make it until later, but I'm glad you're here. Scott Allen came in late. Still got to say hi. I'm glad you did. We're going to have Sunday morning tomorrow, and it will be without Rainey, sad to say, unless I call her on my phone and I hold up my phone. Remember the time I did that with Ruben Fasthorse? And hang on just a second. Just a second. I'm going to try something. You see, there's Rainey on my phone right there. So I don't know, the light kind of here. Let's see if I dim the light a little bit. I think I showed this once before. There's Rainey on the background of my phone. So, but let's see. I'm just going to see if she's up and around. Maybe the kids will answer. Let's find out. Just before we go, folks, say hi to the family. Let's see what we got going. We go right here and right here. And hang on with me, everybody. I'm going to hit dial it. Dial it. I hope nobody's yelling and swearing. Hello. Hey, baby. Hey, say hi to everybody on the show. Hold still. Hold on. Wait. I can't get the camera to work. There she is. Let's see if we can get the that. There she is. Randy, say hey. She's doing mom stuff. Hey, you're trying not to hurt your ears. You're cooking. So there. Now you're fine for what I'm doing. There we go. Yelling and swearing. Hey, everybody says hey, Rainey. Teresa says hey, Rainey. Roger Rabbit says hey, Rainey. Teresa says hi. And so there's my beautiful wife, and we were talking about you. What? What? Oh boy. Well, we won't keep you long. So you have fun cooking your wieners. All right. She's got a Cub Scout banquet today. She's doing all the wieners for. So, well, all right. All right. Rock and Rhonda says, hey, Rainey, missing you, girl. So, Heather White says hi. Heather White says hi. Heather White says hi. Karen Steele. So give us a nice. You what? Go ahead.
So it's hard to hear, and I can't shut it off because it's hot in my kitchen.
Hold on, my phone's got stuff jumping up in the way. Let's see if we can readjust to the lighting. There we go. Kind of. There we go. All right. So there she is. Den Maiden business. Oh, your angelic glow. Yes. So there you go, folks. There's my beautiful wife without makeup, still in her jammies, making cooking wieners for a bunch of Cub Scouts. Susie Q says hi. Audrey says hi. I hope I didn't miss anybody. So there you go. I'm going to let you go and finish doing your wieners. All right. I love you. All right, you too. I miss you. Oh, there's Ellie. Hi, Ellie. I love you too. Hi, you're on radio. I love you. All right, bye. I love you. Bye, Rainey. I love you. I love you. Bye bye. I love you. Bye. But not the same way she loves me. All right, bye. See ya.
Yeah, not the same way.
Not the same way. I love you, baby. I'll talk to you later. Have fun. Okay, she's busy. She's got that big Cub Scout thing to do today. It's the big blue and gold banquet, and of honoring all the scouts today. Yeah, I've never been jealous of holding of hot dog being handled by Rainey until today. Yeah, she's what would you call that? A menage a something. She's got 24 wieners she's holding today. That's stupid. That's sick humor. I will, Teresa. You too. And they say we're the baddies. Yeah, that's right. So there you go, folks. Got to say hi to Rainey. I'm going to say goodbye now. Nice to spend a couple of hours with you this morning when I actually had the time to do it. Saturday morning. And we'll be back tomorrow morning, Sunday morning, for it's Sunday. And we'll be back with the regular radio show on, what did Rainey just say? Oh, nothing. Just said the chat ended. Back Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time for the Intrepid Radio Show. That's all I got. So, yeah, that's talent, wrangling 24 wieners in one setting. So, let's see. What else we got? Everybody, goodbye. I'll be here tomorrow, says Matt Finn. So I'll see you all here at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific Time. On tomorrow morning for It's Sunday, we might see if we can patch Rainey in too for a little bit of that time. That's about the best way I can do it right now because my software is not set up yet. So, and I got to spend a lot of money to get that done. I'm just holding off for right now. So there you go. Love you all. Thanks for being here. You make me feel loved, and I appreciate that. You all have a great day. Right? So live long and prosper. Have a fun day. See ya.